What's up, everyone? I am Wink.
And I am Skillz.
And this is Scream Cheese. Today we're going to be talking about the first Omen, directed by Arkasha Stevenson, starring Nell Tiger-Free and Ralph Ineson. A young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. When we first recorded this video, Skillz did not start his recording, so I am going to be piecemealing our two reviews together until we get to our outro. But I'm gonna make it work, people. Skillz, I had a wonderful time at the theater with this one. There are no problems with Zoomers or Generation Alpha and their ability to shut their mouths and watch movies, but that's besides the point. How do you feel about this one? You have been watching the Omen movies. I just watched them a few months ago, so we were prepped and ready for this one. How did you feel about it?
So to start off with, I hear this film is very similar to Immaculate, which I haven't seen yet, and I know you have, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I will say there's a little bit of like the Armageddon Deep Impact type thing happening here. It's definitely very similar.
From top to bottom, this film was executed beautifully. The lighting, the practical effects, the acting, the score was super good. I'm a big proponent of a good score in a film. That makes all the difference to me. And it felt very much like it was shot in the 70s, and I like that. There was a certain glow around things and the type of lenses they used, or maybe they added the stuff in post, but it had that aesthetic of a 1970s film, and I thought it was excellent. And we got to give credit to the director. She did a great job, and I feel like there's certain scenes in this film that I feel like is best for a female director to have shot. I don't want to give too much away, but they were pretty intense, and I guess they almost had an NC-17 rating, so they had to fight to get an R rating. I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for her because, you know, I thought she did a fantastic job directing the film. I thought Nell Tiger-Free was awesome. I know they don't give out Oscars for horror films, but I feel like she deserves one. She was so good. She had such a range in this film, and there's a scene where she's portraying something that we've seen before in horror films, but it goes on for like a minute and a half. It's almost like a physical monologue, and it was so good. This was my first film seeing her as an actress, and I was very impressed. And I like that it was a serious film. I feel like we got those a lot in the 70s and the 80s and then before, but nowadays Hollywood seems to make films in a certain way where they can be really good, but they feel like a movie, whereas this felt like a film. But the story just worked for me. It felt like a natural part of the Omen series. I didn't think it was as good as the original, because I think that film is like, I rank that film very highly. And I came to the party late, but even seeing it recently, I was super impressed with that film. But this definitely feels like it's in the same vein as that film and the other films in the series. A lot of time prequels don't work, but this one did. It was just, again, from top to bottom, it was put together really well. And you could tell that the people behind the film and the director, they really cared about it. It was a prequel that felt like it was part of the original series.
I felt a lot of the things that you felt here. It was obviously a horror movie, but it played more like a mainstream, like dramatic film. I really did appreciate how it was written and directed. It didn't feel like it was trying to be scary all the time. This could have been riddled with jump scares, but instead it felt like a really kind of meaty film. As a prequel, there's not a lot of leeway in what could happen. You know, we kind of knew what the ending would be, and still I felt like the path was interesting throughout. It's not often that you get a prequel that somehow really does feel like it enriches the lore, and I felt like this movie absolutely did do that. The kind of negative points I would bring up, there's only a couple. towards the end of the film, our main character does a couple of things that don't feel motivated. It starts being like the thing where people in horror movies just make stupid decisions just to move the plot along. Once she figured out what was going on, rather than like keeping it to herself and being like, I gotta get the fuck out of here and like let people know what I know, instead she's like, I'm gonna cause a scene and end up like, why are we not observing any caution here? Just really, really dumb, stupid, unmotivated things. It just is a little rough. That was one of my biggest negatives. And then just kind of the ending, we got essentially where we needed to get to, and then they tacked on a couple of pieces that felt like so open-ended. It almost felt like, oh, we want to do our sister series to the Omen, and this is how we're going to do it. And it's like, I don't know if you are going to be able to, and I don't know if it's the right way to go. And I could be wrong. They could decide to like continue this series outside of the Omen as like a parallel movie series, but I don't know that they're prepared to actually do that, and I don't know if it would be quite as good. But yeah, I agree with you that it definitely felt like it pairs with the Omen really well. It feels like you could kind of lock them together, maybe lop off the last like 5 minutes of the movie, and then they kind of close together pretty well.
I noticed that too, because at the end of the film, there's a scene they tag on at the end, and it kind of felt like Hollywood covering their ass. You know what I mean? I don't think this was necessarily the idea of the director of the film. I think it was the studio. In the event that this film blows up, they can continue a new series, which would be a different timeline that coincides with the original series. I don't have a problem with that if it's done well. But I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, if you're in Hollywood, you're in the business of making money, and you have a film that makes a lot of money, let's say this one does, you want to be able to capitalize on that. How else would they capitalize on it? Are they going to jump all the way to the end of the original series? You know what I mean? So I kind of get that.
I have like kind of a soft spot for the Omen series, and adding this one to it, it actually heightens the quality of the series, I think. There are problems. These movies are a little bit older. The first one feels classic and old, but as you get into the second, third, and then the fourth one, I told you the fourth one's a made-for-TV movie, and it feels that way. I think it was really good, but like, you're gonna lose your audience that maybe isn't so like into horror. They're into more like bigger budget, like typical mainstream good movies. Like, you're gonna kind of lose them in your made for TV one. But I think you really grab them with the first Omen. This feels like this actually classes up the series just a little bit. So now this is the point at which Skillz realized that he wasn't recording, but now we are back in sync. Everything you saw before from Skillz, it was his masterwork of piecing together his conversation that he had with me before, but now here we are again. Skillz, how do you feel? We're in sync now.
I feel better. I definitely feel better.
Okay, that's great. Now that we're getting started, what do you give this movie out of 10?
I give it a 7.5. I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was a really good, solid film, and I think it is a good entry into the Omen series, so that's my score. Nice.
And I am going to give it an 8, and I'm just gonna do that because I want to prove that you're a pessimist when it comes to horror movies, and I generally just like every movie a tiny bit more than you do.
That's awesome.
No, but I give it an 8. I thought it was a really good entry, and yeah, all the things that you said, dude.
Thank you. All the things that I didn't record.
Yeah, all the things that you didn't record. Man, I hope that the audience does get to hear all of your thoughts. It'd be a shame,
do too.
It'd be a shame if it winds up just being me in this video. But anyway, let us know what you thought of the first Omen. Do you think that it was a good entry into the series? Do you like this series? Have you seen all of these movies? Let us know. Also, let us know of any horror movies that you think we need to see in the comment section below, and we will see you next time. Peace out, cheesers.
Peace.